Fear, it's such a powerful, destructive force. We talk a lot about so much of what we see out there, and what we face in our hearts is all about fear. And are you afraid of a pretend God? Beloved, we don't need to be afraid. But what do? Today, we'll talk about how we might quiet those fears, and we will share 2 lovely pieces from the amazing writer and poet Jacqueline Woodson from her memoir in poetry, Brown Girl Dreaming.
Would it be okay if I were to tell you that I am afraid someday? So I call you up and you call me down. Would it be okay?
Well, hello and welcome to the FreedHearts podcast. Thanks for joining us. My name is Robert Cottrell, and I'm here as always with
Susan Cottrell.
Welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
Connect with us, please, at freedhearts.org. We have lots of resources for you. Also, Susan, you do counseling on a very select, rare basis with your time. And if you're interested in that, individual counseling, couple counseling, please just let us know. Email us at hello@freedhearts.org, and we will get back in touch with you with all the details on that.
Yes.
We talk a lot about fear and how much we see out there and what we face in our own hearts, how much of that is all about fear. And in the divisions, and boy, it is divided out there, our fear of other people is stoked. In consumerism, our fear of missing out is used to make us feel unhappy. In our hearts, our fear of being unworthy makes us feel unloved. And sometimes we're even afraid of a pretend God. So we want to talk today about how we might quiet our fears. Wouldn't that be nice? And we're going to start with you reading an email. We do that a lot. We love that. Again, please email us, podcast@freedhearts.org, with your questions, with your comments. So we're going to start today with you reading this email, and
we select the ones we think are helpful to more than one person. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We hear some of the same questions from many people, and we kind of condense those. So yeah.
That's right.
So, and then read your answer. Then we're going to do something really special and read from Brown Girl Dreaming by Jacqueline Woodson. That's going to be amazing. So
yes,
this is beautiful, and you don't want to miss that. So yeah. So do you want to read the email?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to leave. This is really you here. I love kind of saying this and then sitting back in my chair and just hearing you do what you do. That's great. So
thanks, babe.
So it's up to you.
All right. I recently got married and have also been pulled towards Jesus and the Bible the last several years on my spiritual journey. The process I'm in is a bit surprising considering I've been in a loving relationship for 7 years and thought I made peace with my sexuality the last 15 years or so. But I'm trying to move through it as well as I can. I've also found several blogs stating that men shall not lay with men, and etc., or mistranslations or possibly strict rules just for Levi priests, or meaning restriction on sexual exploitation over children. But for some reason, that still doesn't soothe my heart and mind. A part of me wonders if we made up these things to comfort us. I also question why there hasn't been more people who understand the original language who are in a position to do so, languages. I know I can easily reach out to pastors who will support, but I can also find those who won't. I know I can Google some sites that can appease me for the moment, but many will still say the opposite. This world is full of so many opinions, ideas, and, quote, facts around this. It makes me feel like I won't get an answer from a person, but I'm not sure how God is going to help me with this either. I hope that this can help.
So that's the email.
Yep.
So wow, that's a lot in that.
That's a power-packed email.
Unpack. Yeah. So how did you answer?
Okay. I said, hey, honey, I'm so glad you wrote. Yes, it's a little overwhelming, isn't it? You've come up against the duality, the binary thinking that is modern culture. That binary thinking of us versus them, good versus bad, good guys versus bad guys, you versus me. These are all preschool level, which the rules church keeps us at because it keeps us compliant, makes us putty in their hands. When you hear this kind of thinking, just think Play-Doh, and Play-Doh is for preschoolers. They want to keep us at a preschool level because then we're easy to shape like Play-Doh. But God is not a binary. God is one. We are not in duality against God. We are one with God, as Jesus tried to tell us and did tell us. We have to think beyond that preschool binary to understand. We see this binary duality everywhere. You find some info online on any topic, and the opposite will come up right behind it. It's the nature of our jacked up, dualistic, capitalistic world that doesn't serve people, it serves corporations. You will never find peace in that binary. You will never find peace in that binary. You'll never find the bottom line truth by sorting through a binary, because the binary is not true. Also, the binary has already been internalized, conditioned into you. It was put into all of us without consent. Can you see that? So the binary is fighting against you from within.
That's why some fears, I think, just never seem to go away.
Yeah.
I find some comfort, but then again, and then all of a sudden I don't.
Right, because you were conditioned in this binary thinking. That's right. You made peace with your sexuality, but here it is biting you in the butt again. I say that to the email writer, but also true to many of our listeners. So what can you do? Well, instead of trying to find the truth in the binary, which you won't, you have to lay all that down. It's kind of like meditation, where you wait for the thoughts to stop, but they keep going and going. You think, I can't meditate because my thoughts won't stop. Well, they will never stop. So instead, you just let them be, and you return your attention to your breath or whatever is your point of focus. So with this, you lay aside the binary, lay aside all the arguments, and find another focal point, okay? Like peace. And as the endless opposites come up, as with meditation, your thoughts come up, you again lay them aside and focus on peace. That binary arguments, opposites, naysaying, don't give you peace, do they? They give you fear. So lay aside the fear and listen for the peace. What gives you peace? That still small voice in you speaks peace. Remember that verse? That peace won't come in the whirlwind. It comes in the still small voice. I can't think of a better description for the internet than a whirlwind. Or pastors who condemn you, or clattering family voices. These are a whirlwind. They are not peace. Your deepest heart knows truth. It recognizes peace. But you must listen beyond the binary to that still small voice. And by the way, scholars do understand the original languages. They do know the arguments of the Rules Church are bogus. Those are based on man's agenda. These pastors who run these churches, these church businesses for control and profit, those rules churches are not sound scholarship. For example, they keep talking about Bible condemning homosexuality, even though the word homosexuality was not invented until the 1800s and then added to the Bible only in 1946. That was in our grandparents' lifetime. That word was added to the Bible in our grandparents' lifetime. And a lot of us, our parents' lifetime. So, I sent the article that explains it. And if you want that, just email me. You can go through the website or just email me directly at susan@freedhearts.org, and we'll send you the article that shows that homosexuality was added to the Bible in 1946.
Yeah, and a shout out here to the movie, or the documentary 1946.
Yes.
I believe it's 1946themovie.com, but you can't watch it, stream it yet anywhere. It's still in that process of being featured at festivals and kind of getting a distribution thing. But I think that's what talks all about this. So email us and we'll give you all the details.
Yes, and I'll send you also the link to the article about how men shall not lie with a man really is. Men shall not lie with a boy.
Yeah.
With a male, a younger. This article is good scholarship, so it can help rest your weary mind. But as this person you pointed out, it may not end the debate in your head, because Peace doesn't come from battling the debate, because there's always an opposite to pop up and whack you with doubt and fear. The binary dualism debate paradigm is already set up inside of us. So we have to step off the hamster wheel and find a different focal point like peace. And what resonates as truth for you as you continue to do that clamor will eventually just quiet to the point where those opposite sides don't bother you anymore. They're just clatter like the thoughts you have when you meditate. You just will roll your eyes or shrug your shoulders.
Yeah, this is really important. This is like paradigm shifting for a lot of people, because we know a lot of people. We have a lot of friends, family members, and we hear from a lot of you that are overwhelmed by the debate. You just can't.
Yes.
You find yourself getting into the same arguments again and again and again, beating yourself or your head up against a wall on these things. And so this is a great paradigm shift to find that new focal point, to step off the hamster wheel.
That's right.
Of debate. That's a great job.
Well, and they say in like transcendental meditation that the analogy they use is that you're in the ocean and all the waves and the crashing and all of that stuff, but meditation sinks you down below, assuming you can still breathe. Below, there's no chaos down there. There's no rolling waves to throw you, and it's just peace. And so that's the analogy here, is you want to get beyond the binary dualistic thinking to find peace.
Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah, back to your response.
So, and I wrote, I'll tell you, it is easier if you weren't conditioned into the church, and many listeners here have been. You think you've settled this mind battle, but 15 years in, it's still biting you in the butt. So you just keep refocusing on what is peace, what makes me feel peaceful. Time really is on your side. Don't try to satisfy those panicked, conditioned responses, but instead just view them as a barking dog.
Could not help that.
Your fears.
Hey, I didn't do a sound effect for biting in the butt, but I could not help the barking dog.
Okay. Our fears are a warning signal meant to protect us, just like our dog barks to warn us. But it barks at a million things that are not a threat. A passing car, a cat, a squirrel. Who knows what it barks at most of the time? So when that fear pops up, you pat its little head and say, I know you're trying to protect me, but it's okay. I'm here. I'm on duty. I got us.
I love that. That's so good.
Yeah. You just say, my gender, my sexuality is not a threat, even though you were taught that it was. It's okay. Settle down. Good dog. And let it settle back down. As you would with meditation, let the thoughts go and focus instead on that still small voice. And it can take a while, but it will quiet. Quiet the fear. The fear doesn't lead you to a good place anyway, does it? Fear is really good when there's a threat in the moment now. Like, I gotta move now. Turn left here. Don't get in this elevator. Do not open this door. And later, you may or may not find out why you knew to do that instinctively. But fear did its job in that moment. That intuition, which we've been taught to ignore, is what fear is for, to get you away from danger now. Like the dog who will rip apart an intruder or someone who attacks you. That's what it's for. But fear is really bad at imagined threats, like the leaves blowing outside, the car driving by, the UPS delivery guy, all those things your dog barks at. What does God really think of me? What if I'm wrong? We do have the scholarship to put those to rest, but that's not where the conflict lives. The conflict is in the duality.
Wow.
Side note, you do need to protect yourself from anticipated threats that you've learned are a threat, like, I'm not going to call my mother anymore because all she does is tell me how wrong I am. A gal just told me that her mom said she won't come to her wedding because blah, 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 and how wrong her daughter is. And She had to make an educated voice that she will no longer participate.
Choice, yeah. Educated choice.
She had a choice no longer to participate in the conversations.
Mm.
And that's fair. That's intelligence and that's self-care.
And actually, those aren't imagined threats either. Those are real threats.
Right. So, that's right. They're ongoing
But
threats.
Yes. Yeah.
And they threaten your peace. But it's like the joke, if a man walks in the forest, if a man talks in the forest and there's not a woman around him to hear, is he still wrong? Yeah.
Hey.
And if two adults engage in mutually consensual sex in the privacy of their home, are they still wrong? No, they're not. You don't have to be afraid that you're somehow wrong, even after you've worked out your own deal and you know better. And now you just know. So you have to pause and let that still small voice have the mic for a blasted minute. Let it have a moment of sunlight. Listen to it. And when the fear pops up and says, I must have made that up, stroke its head and say, shh, and refocus on that voice of peace. Also, stop reading all the stuff on the internet that incites your fear. It does not help you.
You've heard of doom scrolling. This is fear scrolling.
Yeah, no fear
Anger
scrolling.
yeah.
It doesn't help you. Don't antagonize your dog by making barking sounds and expecting it not to bark. Don't antagonize.
Really
Don't antagonize your fear by listening to fearful things, because that's all you're doing. You don't find truth there, just fear. So don't do that. You can't pick your scabs and wonder why they bleed again.
That was such a really good response.
Yeah, thank you.
Really
Thank
good
you.
response. Thank you. That's it. You do these things brilliantly, and
Thank
that's
you, honey.
awesome. So
Thanks.
great job. So we want to wrap this up today with something really special. And it's two pieces about God from Jacqueline Woodson.
Yeah.
She's Black and queer, and we already love her for that. And she wrote her lovely memoir, Brown Girl Dreaming, as poetry. And it's well worth the read.
Beautiful.
And
Just beautiful.
Yeah, she grew up as Jehovah's Witness, right?
Yes.
So these speak to that dualistic God religion teaches us.
Yes,
So,
that's right.
Do you have any more to say about this, or Jacqueline, or just the
no,
book
they're
in
just
general?
beautiful. I recommend anything by her. I love her. And we did get permission from the publisher for this. So
Thank you.
thank you, publisher. So these are two pieces.
And we're just going to wrap up the podcast today by reading these and thanking you for listening.
And saying we love you so much.
So go ahead and baby.
All right. Two gods, two worlds. It's barely morning, and we're already awake. My grandmother in the kitchen ironing our Sunday clothes. I can hear Daddy coughing in his bed, a cough like he'll never catch his breath. The sound catches in my chest as I'm pulling my dress over my head. Hold my own breath until the coughing stops. Still, I hear him pad through the living room, hear the squeak of the front screen door, and know he's made it to the porch swing to smoke a cigarette. My grandfather doesn't believe in a God that won't let him smoke or have a cold beer on a Friday night. A God that tells us all the world is ending so that y'all walk through this world afraid as cats. Your God is not my God, he says, but I want the world where my daddy is, and don't know why anybody's God would make me have to choose.
That's beautiful.
I got chills. I've just got chills.
You got one more for us?
Got one more. What God knows. We pray for my grandfather. Ask God to spare him even though he's a non-believer. We ask that Jehovah look into his heart, see the goodness there. But my grandfather says he doesn't need our prayers. I work hard, he says. I treat people like I want to be treated. God sees this. God knows. At the end of the day, he lights a cigarette, unlaces his dusty brogans, stretches his legs. God sees my good, he says. Do all the preaching and praying you want, but no need to do it for me.
Beloved,
Love, love, love.
God knows you. God sees you.
God loves you.
Bye.
Bye.
Would it be okay if I were to tell you that I am afraid someday? So I call you up and you call me down. Would it be okay?
You've been listening to the FreedHearts podcast. We have extensive resources and vibrant community for you at www.freedhearts.org. Just come say hello. And if you have questions or issues or comments about the podcast, things you'd like us to talk about, reach out to us at podcast@freedhearts.org. The music is provided by Hannah Cottrell, our daughter, the Grammy-nominated Saint Sinner, and you can find out more about her at HeySaintSinner.com. Please share this, subscribe, and follow on your favorite platform. And thanks for listening.